Alright, UFC 105, 107 time. I don't know how to say 105. Undercard picks. Sidebar. Good undercard. Main card. It's okay. Sean had the idea of maybe in the future just breaking down a fight and saying how someone has to win instead of making an actual pick. Because in general, all the predictors on YouTube, with a few exceptions, get a lot of flack when we get a fight wrong, and even if we were right. And this just goes back to the theory that it's not really wins and losses that determine whether you broke down a fight correctly. It's if you watch the fight and you see what you said was going to happen, and if you lose, something weird happens. I mean, this is MMA, anything can happen, so it's a bit of a weird thing to pick a winner. So leave some comments about that. I might take up that strategy as well and just kind of break down the fight and say, this is how this guy can win, this is how this guy can win, these are how they match up, and instead of saying a winner, you know, that kind of thing. I'll still do the MMA playground with that because that's fun. Anyways, main card. Stefan Struve, Paul Buentello. Stefan Struve coming off a somewhat surprising win over Chase Gormley. Paul Buentello returning to the UFC after a lengthy absence of, well, I mean, he was, you know, one of the top dogs in Strikeforce for a little bit, but really hasn't done a hell of a lot. So again, this I think shows somewhat of the lack of depth in the UFC's heavyweight division. They're bringing a guy like Buentello back to try to give depth. And people said Fedor is a good fight, nothing but cans outside the UFC. Yeah, looked at the heavyweight division. Anyways, Buentello, Struve, both are primarily strikers, despite the fact that Struve is a better grappler than he is a striker. But you know, he's Dutch, thus he has to be a kickboxer. I think that's a rule somewhere. Anyways, and his lack of wrestling means he really doesn't determine this fight going to the ground, which is the thing. Buentello, I think, can control this fight's going to happen. I think if Buentello can get inside, he can knock out Struve, much the way Junior Dos Santos did. I think he will probably do that because he's a very aggressive fighter who likes to move forward, likes to headhunt, and that's the weakness of Stefan Struve, really. We saw it in the Junior Dos Santos fight, and we saw it again when he fought Chase Gormley when Gormley was winning. Was that, you know, if you can get inside, doesn't really have much of a clinch game, doesn't have much of a wrestling game. You know, if he can't use that reach on the feet, he's in trouble. If he can't get you to the ground where he can use his reach on the ground and get subs, he's in trouble. That being said, Struve can win this fight if he can keep Buentello outside, work the jab, work the leg kicks, and keep him outside. He'll outpoint him to a decision. I don't think he can finish him that way. But at the same time, if he can somehow get Buentello to take him down, or if he can take Buentello down, there's a decent chance he can win there, because he's a guy that's very difficult to deal with on the ground because of his length, and he's got some skills. So he likes the triangle, likes the arm bars, but I'm gonna have to take Buentello, knockout, second round, maybe late first round, because I think the way that Buentello can control this fight is just a lot better than the way Struve can. Clay Guida, Kenny Florian. Was originally all over Kenny Florian, but then I took a look back at the Diego Sanchez-Clay Guida fight. Made me realize that Guida's a bit better of a wrestler than I've generally given him credit for. If you look at, you know, Kenny's had issues with wrestlers in the past, except for the Joe Stevenson and Roger Huerta fight. Roger because he fought stupid. Stevenson just because, I don't know, Kenny's game was on for that fight. If he can come out looking like that, he will probably beat Clay Guida. Problem is we haven't seen that Kenny, you know, since. You know, I kind of think, you know, Guida can take him down. Guida can get inside on him because he's got, you know, a chin of granite. So he can get inside. He'll push the pace. He'll basically Sean Shirk him to death. That's what I'm thinking. If you remember the Kenny Florian Sean Shirk fight, Kenny's got the better ground game than Guida, but you know, Guida hasn't. I mean, we've seen Guida in trouble in a lot of the fights he's had. Actually, it's just that, you know, he has no quit in him. He's not an easy guy to tap out because he'll push through things, and that's kind of what I see in this fight. Clay Guida by UD. I mean, Kenny can cut him. Kenny can possibly tap him out. Don't think he can knock him out. Could stop him with a TKO of some kind though. But I mean, Kenny's a dangerous fighter. This is an interesting fight, but I got to go with Guida by UD. Mike Pierce, John Fitch. I have a hard time going with Mike Pierce in this, but I said that when he fought Brock Larson, and you know he shut me up. In reality, though, Fitch is a better wrestler, better boxer, better grappler. He doesn't have a cardio issue, so to speak. He's not smaller than Pierce, really. In general, might be a little bit. I don't know. They're both reasonably big middleweights, or not middleweights, welterweights. But in the end, I see Fitch being able to take Pierce down. I see him being able to, you know, hang with him on the feet. Pierce has got a bit of a power advantage, so this might not be a good idea to stay on the feet for very long. But I think he can. I think he can outstrike him. I think he can take him down. I think he can control him. Don't think he subs him, but never know. Still, I'm taking Fitch, UD. Probably UD the way this fight goes. Czech Congo, Frank Mir. I was big on Frank Mir, but he didn't look that great at the weigh-ins, in my opinion. I don't know about anyone else. And there are rumors he's trying to put weight on for the fight for a rematch with Brock Lesnar, which is disconcerting because the weight's not going to help Frankie Mir, to be quite honest. Still, when you really look at this, this is basically your typical striker-grappler matchup. Czech's takedown defense isn't that great. We've seen anyone who really wants to take him down do it, except for no, that's really it. I was trying to think of like Dan Evanson or something and tried to take him down, but no, they didn't. Czech, despite having a reasonable Greco-Roman wrestling background, just doesn't seem to be able to stop takedowns in MMA. He's got great power in his hands. He's possibly the best striker in the UFC's heavyweight division. That's a maybe, because he has the technique, speed, and power that, you know, very few other heavyweights have really got the trifecta, so to speak. But the more I think about this, the more I think Frank Mir can hang with him in the stand-up, lose the stand-up, but he can hang with him. And that's the key difference, is that if Frank gets him to the ground, it's kind of over. Czech's not that bad on the ground, but Frank has dominated better grapplers than Czech Congo, and I think he just generally, you know, will if he gets him down, and I think he will. I'm taking Frank Mir via tap out or TKO. I'm going to say second round. I'm going to say Congo last because he's pretty survivable on the ground, but at the same time, his lack of wrestling, the fact that Frank can hang with him in the stand-up, in my opinion, and the fact that, you know, I really don't think he can hang with Mir on the ground, makes this a reasonably easy pick. Czech by knockout obviously is a possibility though. Diego Sanchez, BJ Penn. Not really sure if Diego should be getting this title shot after, what's it been like? Hang on. 2 fights at lightweight, both by decision, one by split over Clay Guida. But I guess if you have a win over Kenny Florian, who's still one of the top lightweights around, even though it was 2 weight classes up, whatever you want to make of that. Should he be getting the title shot? I don't think so. I think there are more deserving fighters in terms of accomplishments, but that's a rankings thing. When it comes to excitement, how amped I am for the fight, how much of a chance he stands against BJ, I would say Diego's probably your best bet. The only thing that could worry BJ, and I've said this repetitively, and I get flack from BJ fans for suggesting that there's anything any fighter can threaten BJ with. It still is cardio. BJ likes to likes to make a big deal about his improved cardio and how people should make a big deal of it. But when you look at his other skills, I mean, what else are you going to look at? As far, I mean, Diego, is he going to be able to take him down? Not a fresh BJ, not a well-conditioned BJ. Is he going to be able to outstrike him? Maybe, but if he does, I think BJ will just take him down. Will he be able to handle BJ on top of him? No, he won't. BJ's got the best top game in the lightweight division. I'm tempted to say all of MMA, but I don't want to say that without really thinking about it. The only hope Diego has is if BJ's somewhat overlooks him, which I don't think he did. He comes in there, he starts to gas out after a bit, and Diego can put the pace up. Problem is, Diego's cardio hasn't come with him from 170, so there you go. Chances of that happening, not great. Still, that's basically how it boils down to. I'm going to go with, I don't know if I want to say he subs him. That's my problem. I'm wondering if Diego can last, but I'm going to gamble on a BJ Penn 3rd round tap out. Rear naked choke. That's the fight card. It's a good fight card. The undercard's going to be really good, so I hope we see some of it. But that's all.